officers arrived, they discovered that the body of a deceased infant had been located inside a recycling bin. It is evident upon preliminary investigation that this birth was fairly recent. They believe it did not occur at that location, and right now time is really of the essence in locating the mother of this infant. We believe that she is in likely a great deal of physical and emotional distress and very vulnerable. So our priority is to locate her and get her some supports.
What was, could you describe what the infant was like when officers arrived at the scene?
I can't describe that. Obviously, there is an investigation ongoing. There are details that are part of that investigation that we would not want to disclose, and I also don't want to cause any further trauma to the people that are involved in this. It's already incredibly emotional, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Do we have any idea how long the baby had been deceased?
It's difficult to know just yet. There is an autopsy scheduled for Tuesday, and hopefully that will assist us in learning not only the cause of death, but when that death may have occurred. But there are a lot of questions about the circumstances surrounding this, and one of them is how long that baby was there.
Do you know whether it was a male or a female infant?
I do not.
Do we have any idea as to like a more specific age for the infant?
No, although the birth was recent. I mean, there's evidence of that.
When you say recent, does that mean within days, within hours?
I don't want to speculate. It's really difficult to know, and obviously there are cold temperatures that we're dealing with here that may factor in to what the autopsy shows us, so it would be preliminary to say.
Have you received any tips yet from the public in regards to the location of the mother?
Not that I'm aware of, but we're talking to you about this today, and we want to spread this word as widely as we can, that we want this mother to come forward. We want to assist her in any way we can. That's the priority. The investigation will be ongoing, but right now we want to provide her with some supports. We want to get out to people as well that if somebody else has information, we want them to come forward. Perhaps someone knows of a woman who was pregnant recently and is not pregnant any longer, but there is no evidence of a child in that person's life. They may have information that is critical to locating this mother. So that's really what we are here to get across today.
Is the police service willing at this point in time to offer immunity in regards to any sort of charges or any sort of offenses that may be a result of this death?
I think it's preliminary to speculate on what circumstances would be down the road, but immediately we don't have any plans to, or I'll back that up. Our priority is to help get this woman medical attention if she requires it, and she likely will. We also want to connect her with supports in the community to be able to provide her some emotional support, and then we'll go from there. We've been in situations in this city before, unfortunately, where it wasn't a baby death, but we had a baby abandoned about 13 years ago, and we were able to successfully locate that mother and provide her with some supports. It ended in a positive way. We have had another situation where we had a baby death, and we were able to work with that family as well. So it's too early to say what the outcome would be, but at this point our priority is to provide support.
What would your message be to individuals who found this body, found this individual? What would your message be to the individuals who were directly involved in the recovery of this body in regards to seeking help or counseling?
Well, obviously this is incredibly traumatic for anyone to be involved with, and for those people that were involved at the initial scene, that is something that if they feel they need to, they should seek some support for as well. We're talking about an infant. It's very traumatic.
Can you tell us how officers came to the scene? How did they find the infant?
We received a call from someone who came upon something suspicious and called us. So they weren't really sure what they were dealing with, but when we arrived, were able to quickly understand what we were seeing.
And were they a resident nearby, or who was this person?
I'm not able to disclose that.
Any idea if mom is a resident of the area, or any leads, I guess, at all on that?
We have no idea who this mother is, but again, the priority is to have her come forward or to have someone call in with information about her.
I know before we showed up here, officers were responding to an unknown call over on Bolt Crescent. Is that perhaps maybe in relation to this case?
I'm not aware of it.
Have police been in contact with hospitals to determine whether this was a birth in hospital versus out of hospital?
So this is going to be a process, and one of the steps they would take almost immediately would be to contact health facilities. We would hope that they would be contacting us if they had come across a mom who had recently given birth and didn't have a baby with her. But certainly that's something we'll be following up. You know, the other thing is that there may be people in the area who witnessed something, they're not aware of what they saw or how significant it was. And so we'd ask anybody who had been in that area, let's say within the last few days, to give us a call. Any suspicious activity at all.
So are you aware of any communication from the hospital towards police that there may have been a mother in distress or something like that?
I'm not aware of that.
What would you say are the ramifications if the mother isn't found?
I'm going to remain hopeful that we are able to locate her. I think that, you know, we have a very diligent, dedicated police service, and our investigators will work incredibly hard on this to try and identify and locate this woman. So I'm going to remain positive about that.
Is there anything you want to say directly to her?
I would suggest to her, I would stress to her that we are here to provide her with support. This likely is an emotional and very physically taxing time for her. She's obviously in a great deal of distress, and the first thing that we want to do is assist her in any way we can, and hopefully learn more about the circumstances around this baby's birth.
What are some of the complications that may arise from a birth of this nature that police might be concerned about?
That is speculative for me too. I'm not a medical professional, so I wouldn't be able to offer that.
How are officers doing after this? I can't imagine how they're feeling.
Well, these officers are out there responding to other calls right now. This is the kind of work that they do. This is the kind of trauma that they face on a daily basis. It's not always involving a deceased baby, obviously, but they are involved in calls that are incredibly emotionally taxing, and they go on from call to call to call because this is the job that they've chosen to dedicate their lives to. And so I admire how they are able to be resilient and how they are able to remain dedicated and focused on serving the citizens of this city. But I would suggest that is why we have really good professional emotional supports in place to help officers deal with the kind of trauma that they see on the street. Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add? Or?
No, I think
Okay,
that's-
thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you.